Welcome to The Music Reel. I'm your host, Nicola Burton. Today, I'm thrilled to be speaking with Australian music artist and composer, Sarah Stiles. Sarah, it is lovely to meet you. How are you going?
Yeah, pretty good. Thanks, Nicola.
Well, I have read about Wheelie Good Productions. So let's start and talk about what that's all about, because this is an organisation you've just started.
Yes, it is.
Yep. So tell us a little bit about how that came about and what you guys are actually doing.
Sure. So I've always loved music, and it's always been my voice. I guess I've composed throughout my childhood and everything because I had ASD and I didn't know. Nobody knew. And so without that understanding of my own self, I would just write my experiences to music, and my mum would describe to me what the music was saying, and she was always spot on. It would give me the information so I could understand my own self. I'm in my 40s now, so I've had years of practice. But over the years, again, my genetic conditions, I've got two. We didn't know about them. Doctors are still only just really beginning to learn about them now. And so that meant that every time I tried to live life or tried to do something, it always failed, and I couldn't keep going. So I've had some amazing one-off experiences on stage, but I've always known in my heart that stage is where I belonged. And I think the thing that sort of being the most difficult for me was not being given equal opportunity. Buildings aren't accessible, stages aren't accessible, feeling like a liability, and I feel like saying to everyone, I can take care of myself. I don't need you to worry about me and my body. I know exactly how to manage myself. I'll just talk to you about what I am doing, and you can just give me a smaller role, and then and then we're good to go. I can perform. So that was one issue. The other issue was that I didn't have a diagnosis, so I didn't know what was wrong. So when I was trying to get on stage and just do anything, really work, do anything, I didn't know how to manage anything at that time. So I was overdoing it. I was doing it all wrong, trying to be like everyone else, and that was my ultimate downfall. So fast forwarding now to my 40s, I decided if I was going to get on stage, because there's a lot of people in my position, then I would have to write my own musicals. I'd have to have my own company, write my own shows, and it's the right time now. So when everything falls into place, that's the universe, God saying okay,
something.
Now everything's aligned. Now it's going to work. But also it's not just you. I think one of the biggest lessons I've learned in life is even if I am ready for something, doesn't mean that all of the people who I'd need to be in my team are ready.
Exactly. So this is, you're sort of creating the environment for everybody of all abilities to be able to perform together.
Correct.
The
biggest what's the word I'm after? I've lost it. There's a lot of people that slip through the cracks. It's easier to say, oh, paraplegic, they've got wheels instead of legs, but they have energy. They still have good health. They have the physical ability to manually move themselves. I can't think of the word, in the wheelchair. So it's easier then for them to be cast into shows. These days they're doing contemporary versions of all of these shows. So there's an American actress who just won a big award for being in Oklahoma. She's in a wheelchair, but because it's contemporary, they're just wearing jeans and flannelette and stuff,
Good as that.
Wheelchairs are used a lot in these days, so it works.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of us that are slipping through the cracks because we don't have that health. And it's interesting how the view of disability changes. People in wheelchairs are not classed as disabled by themselves or by the government these days because they can lead a full life without the need of carers and things like that. But there are plenty of us with chronic illnesses, and there are plenty of other disabilities that do detract from energy levels and other things. So look, when they say if you've got your health, you've got everything, that's true. So I wanted to give this people in my shoes an opportunity to be able to perform, but alongside everyone else, I want people to be seen as people first and foremost. And so you do have other all ability groups, but I don't think they run quite the same way. I think they just take everyone in and train them up, and you know, I think they all write their shows together. Whereas my company is for anybody who's actually already a professional, or knows that they're at that level but have never been given a chance. So anybody that's got stage, you know, in their soul, and it's just a part of them and they have to have it, whether they've had the experience or not, those are the people that I'm looking for. I'm also looking for the people who have chronic illness, who don't have the energy levels, because I've come up with a brand new format to cater to that.
Oh, okay. Well, I'd be keen to hear about that, because there's so many people in our industry that have had burnout and they've got no energy. They've got heaps of experience, but they're like, I can't find the energy. So tell us a little bit about this new format.
What I've done is I've taken 6 short stories. So I've written 6 short stories of about 15 minutes each. And then that means that each person can be a lead character. The aim is that you can be the lead in one of those, you know, scenes, and then you can go off and have a rest or whatever, and come back on as a best friend of a lead in another story. So it's quite flexible for the cast as well. So when I speak to other people who write music theatre in America and Britain, yeah, they've all said they haven't come across exactly what I've done. And also I'm struggling to try and figure out what keys to write the songs in. And they're all saying the same thing to me. Well, if you know your cast, you write for the cast. But this is a very different scene. And even though I've explained to them what I'm doing, they don't get it. They're still saying those same comments. So I've decided to just have a high key and a low key for every song. So you can have 2 different versions. Yep. So, but then again, as the best friend part can go to somebody who's only going to be the best friend for that 5 minutes, and that is all they have the energy to do, but they get to do that. So you're not, that the aim is that no one is just part of the chorus. Everyone gets their moment to shine, however short or long that may be. Everyone gets their moment to shine. The issue here, and of course when you perform it, it does perform as one long normal musical.
Right.
So it's still shows as a normal musical. They're not 6 separate stories.
Beautiful.
They all, you know, so with the characters they're all intertwined still, but you know, maybe Amanda from this lead doesn't do the best friend in this other one for a Sydney cast, but she might in a Brisbane cast. So it's very much about the cast that you have.
Sarah, this sounds like something that should have been done a long time ago. And I think you're right when you say it's time to actually level up in our industry so that we actually can include everybody. I think this is brilliant. I love it. I'm so glad that you're actually sharing this. You are the first person that's actually had this discussion with me about all abilities. So yeah, this is great. I want to hear more about this. So you've obviously had a lot of experience. You've had a lot of challenge, and yet you've been able to write 2 online courses, and you and your son are doing a panel at Conquest 2020. So let's start with the panel. You guys are talking about sci-fi and mental health, that's an interesting pairing. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
My son has the same genetic conditions as me. And I realised I'm ASD when he was diagnosed. And I was ticking all the same boxes, and I realised practically every family member was ticking all the boxes. Then I discovered that I've got cousins on both sides of the family that also have been diagnosed. So also autism is quite common with connective tissue disorders. I've got my own personal theories based on things I've read over the years as to why that makes a lot of sense. But it's interesting now when you join autism support groups and connective tissue support groups, how people are coming up every so often and asking, hey, I'm noticing that there is a connection, or it just seems to be a connection. And then that starts a big discussion that now has been happening for a few months. So with my son, I want to give him the opportunity to discover who he is and what he's capable of. He has homeschooled due to the autism primarily. We tried school, we won't even go there. And it's an issue when your preschooler is suicidal from being at school. And so we have made leaps and bounds forward. He's just really progressing because he's had the opportunity to learn at home, where I can help him understand his thoughts and feelings. And I think that this is really where a lot of children are let down, whether you have a diagnosis or not, just being a human being. I think a lot of children are being let down in a fundamental area where if they clearly are struggling with understanding their own thoughts and feelings, they don't have a chance to understand anybody else. And there are many different reasons why children can have that struggle, even if it's not all of the time. It might just be a tough moment that the family are going through. And not all children have the benefit of getting the in-depth help in their perception, etc., that they need. So because of my experience, I didn't even worry about my son's behaviour for a long time, because let's face it, just by being a human being, regardless of age, it's not really about our behaviour. Our behaviour is always just the sign of something going on, of the state that you're in. And so it's not something I've ever focused on. I just sat there and I helped him, first of all, know what he was thinking. And then I helped him know what he was feeling, helped him understand that. And then after that, we could look at, well, what do we do with this now that we know what this is? So my son, because he's had that opportunity of, I've had support from my family. He's been able to homeschool. We've been able to explore all of this. So now at 21, he's doing way better than I ever did.
But that's because of all of the work that you've actually done with him, because you understand where he's coming from.
Because of knowledge, and this goes right, very important point, knowledge.
Wow. And now he's giving this panel.
Yes, so I'm the kind of person that reads, looks up things. I'm the kind of person that says, I can totally see the amazing benefits to social media, and I get out there and I talk to people. Even when other people think that I'm too rude or overstepping boundaries, actually, that's the problem with society. We're not connected, right? So I do ask questions and I do go searching and I do talk to people. So I find out all kinds of things that are in the community. Even if I can't be involved, I think it's important to be aware of your community and how that's working for the community. Some things don't work, but it's just how they're used to doing it. I also find that it's the older generation that keep it that way. They struggle too hard. They're like, this is what we've known. A lot
not going to change.
That's it. And they tend to vote that way too. That's a whole other subject.
We could be here all day, Sarah.
So what I've done is, for my own mental health, I did start to do cosplay because I couldn't work and I've never had a friend until I was about 38. I got my first friend. And so because I've been so isolated my whole life and never had any idea, I lacked the knowledge of what was going on with me and what to do about it, etc. I did actually start cosplaying. And that was fantastic for my mental health. I realized that with the autism in me, it irritated me because I can never actually be that person. I can't look like them. And then I thought, well, I don't have to be a specific character. I can just put on a Star Trek uniform. I can just be part of a community. I don't have to be a specific person. And that really helped me find a better relationship with myself. And then I found that by cosplaying, I've had people come up to me saying, my daughter didn't think she could cosplay because she's in a wheelchair, and then we saw you. Or I've had a young woman say, I've had that several times. I had a young woman approach me and say that because she is overweight, she didn't think she could cosplay, but if somebody in a wheelchair can, then she can. And the smile on her face to see people realize what it took me so long to realize, you know, there are no limits. It's society that places the limits, and our parents do it without realizing. Our parents then continue to reinforce those limits because they were reinforced on them. And I think as children, we're born amazing, and then that all gets trodden out of us and we lose touch with our amazingness. So
what you're saying is correct. It's like there are no limits, and that's what your gift is to the world, isn't it? You're demonstrating at everything that you do that there are no limits.
That's right, and there's always another way. We don't have to go about things the exact same way. People feel like a failure if they haven't managed to perform a job or whatever the same way everyone else does, and that's such a shame. So I want to give my son as many opportunities as I can. So I'm the kind of person that will say yes and figure it out later. I joined a sci-fi club, and I couldn't even get there most of the time. I probably went twice in a year, but by going at least once, I find that people who are sci-fi geeks, they, you know, specifically sci-fi, they tend to be more real. They tend to know all of these things that I've been talking about. They are the ones that tend to know these things. I don't see the same problem with trolls. I don't see the same problem with problems that you find elsewhere. And so I found the sci-fi community to be quite an uplifting, enlightening one. And there's a lot of freedom with sci-fi. I found that my Christian friends and all my other friends on Facebook, you know, I've had to sort of get rid of them because there's a lot of inevitable thought patterns that come. And I am a Christian, I'm not knocking them, but I find that there are a lot of inevitable thought patterns that come, a lot of ruts that are easy to get into because this is the way that you grow up, and so you just sort of do it. And I find that with sci-fi people, that's not the case, and they're quite inclusive automatically, which makes sense when you think about it. So when there was an opportunity to run a panel at this year's sci-fi convention, I just said yes. And then I asked my sister, quick, what topic can my son and I talk about? This year's theme is robots. We don't really, you know. And so I discussed it with my sister, and mental health and sci-fi was definitely the winner. Everybody loved that as well. When I put on and said, okay, we want to do a panel on this, they all loved that idea. And again, for very obvious reasons, some cosplay and sci-fi specifically, for many of us, has saved us, has given us a relationship with ourselves.
I never thought about it like that before, but you're right. There's a bit of freedom. There's a lot of creativity, and obviously there's safety in that community. It's been a remarkable journey that you've gone through, Sarah, putting yourself, you know, you've done so much with music, you've done so much with mental health, and through your own experiences setting up Wheelie Good Productions. I think anyone who's listening today is just going to be just thinking, wow, like, congratulations. It's so impressive. It really is. If anyone wants to get in touch with you to find out about, oh, she's gone. Nope. Oh.
Are you there?
Oh, there you are. Yep.
Sorry, my phone.
That's all right. So if anyone wants to get in touch with you to work with you with your courses, how can they do that?
They can get on Google and they can look up Wheelie Good Productions.
Okay, great.
And you can find me there.
Excellent. I'll make sure I put all of the contact details in. Now, this Conquest 2020 is in October. What date is it?
The 9th and 10th.
Wow. Okay. So anyone out there that's interested, I think it sounds like a great panel to go and have a listen to.
Online, and there's a lot of fantastic things happening. So
okay.
because it has to be COVID friendly this year, all
Yeah.
the tickets for in person are sold, but you
Right.
definitely can still join in online. You can just, again, get onto Facebook and check out Conquest 2020 and you'll find.
I love the sound of it. Sarah Stiles, what a fantastic journey you've had. I've really enjoyed hearing your story. Good luck with Wheelie Good Productions. I'll stay in touch and see how it's all going, and look forward to seeing you next time. Best wishes with everything.
Lovely. Thank you very much.